In today's Path of Exile video, I will show you boss mechanics and how to defeat them without taking a single hit. It will be useful if you can't one-shot them on the maps, or if you're just starting out your first playthrough. So, hail at Mesh's Kingdom, it's me, Spot the King, and you can actually start learning how the game works right from the beginning. Since if you want to defeat strongest bosses in the game, you need to understand how window of opportunity or window for attack works. Basically, between animations of each different attack, there is a window that will give you opportunity to make your hit. What you want to avoid in most cases is rolling. Yeah, a lot of people think rolling is the staple of this game, but it isn't. Rolling gives you burst of speed, but then it slows you down, and in reality it will give you less window of opportunity for attack. Just by moving around your targets will give you a lot more time to make decision and attack your target. This concept is true for every enemy in the game. Also, everything in this guide will be true for any build, any skills you're using, any gear, any class, basically for anything. And before we jump into the bosses, one more really important concept for the game. Basically, when you're facing two targets, target 1 and target 2, and they're standing in a line, so here we will see more closely, they will attack you at the same moment basically. What you want to do to avoid it is to move into any direction that will face only one target, so you will fight versus him one-on-one while second target is kinda blocked. And while it looks like this concept only useful against basic monsters, actually a lot of bosses got summon mechanics and they will summon a lot of guys, so you need to understand where to position yourself in the fight to get the best of the situation. And you don't need to always attack from the back or sides of the target, you can just move back and forth to attack targets in the face, like you saw in this clip. If you're just starting out or playing through campaign, make sure you just picking passive points in attack part. You don't need defensive part if you can avoid all bosses hits. So let's go to the first checkpoint and first boss of the game. Again, while it's the first boss of the game, you will encounter this boss on the maps a lot, and if you don't know his mechanics, you can be one-shotted later in the game. What I really suggest you to do when you're learning how to play is to limit test. You want to learn, first of all, can you avoid enemy attacks by just walking and running around. Again, as I told you, if you will roll, you will have less window of opportunity for attacks yourself. That's why most of the bosses actually can be avoided just by moving, and rolling is a big mistake. And funnily enough, the way how you deal with the mechanics of the first few bosses is the way how you deal with mechanics of all other bosses in the game. First attack of bloated Miller will be this charge slam. He is basically trying to charge and attack you, and in most cases bosses will show his intentions right before he will make the move, so he looking back and then charging forward. In real time it took 1 second for him to start charging, and all you need to understand is the right direction you need to move to avoid this type of hits. Again, you don't need to roll in like 99% of the cases. What you need to understand that he is moving like in one direction forward, and most bosses will do the same. And you may think the smart way to avoid is to move in diagonal directions. This way you will close the distance to the place where he will land, and you will have more attack of opportunity window. Yes? Yeah, kind of, but not really. And in reality, moving in any diagonal direction won't be safer, since what you need to understand is velocity or speed, basically. So this guy will move at the speed of, for example, like 50 meters per second. That's just example from the head, it doesn't matter actually. But what does matter is that this bro will move at a lot higher speeds than you can move, even with dodge rolling. And your movement speed will be, for example, like 20. If we add a little bit of geometry into equation, considering movement speeds, moving in any diagonal direction will be a big mistake, since moving from point A to point B will kinda take the same time as moving from point A to point B over here. But if you take some like impact radius of the boss, he will basically hit everything in this area, and if we stand like over here, for example, you want to move 90 degrees of his initial line. Rolling is only useful if you're close to an enemy, so if you're close, then you definitely want to roll to avoid attack quickly, and then because enemy will need to turn to attack you, you will have time to attack him at least once. Now, how we avoid long-range slams like this? And that's actually one of the most common attacks for all bosses. And funnily enough, it's pretty common misconception. So here is our boss, and he will attack in a big straight line. Again, it doesn't matter, some bosses will have like more area of effect, some less, but what we need to do as the player. A lot of players think that while shockwave coming from the boss to this direction, they need to stay somewhere outside of the boss radius, like over here, you know, as far away as possible. So while shockwave kinda traveling, they got time to adjust their position and move away. Alright? Yeah, it's completely wrong. Why? You need to understand all previous principles I explained in this video. So, we got some animations, and these animations will take time. While boss is charging their attack, they will need time to turn. Yeah, so he needs time to turn and adjust his aim left or right to try to target you. So let's say, for example, we're standing like over here, and just imagine like a radius over here, 180 degrees, and right now boss is aiming over here, but to hit you, that's where you are right now, you need to travel like, for example, 5 meters, some random distance, but boss need to turn actually like 2 degrees. 2 degrees to hit you. Since the longer distance from the boss when he's doing these impact strikes, the less distance he need to turn, less radius to finally be able to hit you. And shockwave will move fast anyway. But if your position is nearby of the boss, just by doing like 1 meter run, let's say from this location to this location, it's like the same that was here, boss already will need to do like almost 90-degree turn to hit you. So this move will take you the same time as over here, but with turning speed it will be completely impossible for boss to hit you. That's why instead of running away from shockwaves, you want to run towards them actually. The next tip, most bosses will have multiple stages when they reach certain threshold of their health. For example, the first guy will summon some zombies that will mess you up and you will need to fight versus them. We already know a lot of tips about positioning and can deal with them pretty easily, without taking damage or even a hit. But the tip here is to always keep your bottles, your flasks, for the later stages of the boss. Better just run around in the first stage and keep your flasks ready for the second stage, when you can unleash and finally defeat them, since most bosses are more dangerous in second and third phases. It may look like melee is the best way to deal versus bosses, but sometimes bosses are really dangerous in melee range, so you always want to have at least one option to deal damage from the medium or long distance. And all classes will have this option, just look through the skills, and even melee classes like Monk will have nice options to deal damage from the distance. If you're having troubles versus bosses, make sure to stay about like 3 or 4 levels above area level. To do it, you can hold button on controller near the waypoint when you're teleporting to area, or just control clicking on PC and creating new instance of an area. It will reload area with all new monsters and you can level up like this pretty easily. Now you understand all basic concepts and actually the main concepts. So let's go and clear some bosses, starting right from clear file. I want to make a note over here, since we're playing in normal difficulty right now, starting from scratch for the new character. Bosses on higher difficulty and on the maps will have a little bit like stronger attacks, but still concepts will be the same and types of attacks will be the same. They will just do like 10 blasts instead of 1. So, attacks of Beira of the Rotten Pack. She will have this blast of ice in a cone in front of her. You want to be as far away as possible, since the distance between ice projectiles will be larger, but also since she attacking in a cone, you can be as close as possible and just roll and attack from the back. Projectiles will be avoided just by running in any direction. At the first stage, she will just alternate between these two attacks, and also sometimes she will summon big circles that will summon ice blasts from the ground. The key to avoid all attacks of this boss in first stage is to always move in the same direction. The best way to avoid her is to just go in circles around this lady. After losing about half of HP, she will go into second stage and summon wolves. Wolves are pretty easy, so just use all previous ideas, destroy them and then destroy her. But keep an eye on this animation. Instead of summoning wolves, she will take their souls and then blast around her. So this animation is pretty dangerous if you're in the melee range and you just need some cold resistance or well time to roll outside of this radius. Second boss in Clearfell is pretty optional. Actually, he's not in Clearfell, but in the Mud Burrow, and it will be the big Devourer. I haven't encountered him on the maps yet, so probably he's only in the campaign as optional boss. But again, you won't have a lot of troubles against him. He got a really slow attack and you can avoid it just by moving left or right in his first stage. The cool mechanic of this boss is him moving all the time, and you can use his body to avoid his shots, and you actually want to use his body to avoid his shots. The biggest tip for this boss is to always stand near his head, so you want to go into the first or second part of his body, and he won't even attack you while you're hiding behind him. He is awful in melee range, and sometimes he will get mad and go below the ground, then will blast, so just stay away outside of this red circle. When you hear loud noise, he will do this poison burst. Best way to avoid it again to hide behind his parts. And you want to stay closer to the fresh ones, because the last part will be tail that will attack you. So again, just use his parts to protect you from these poison attacks, and best way to fight him is in melee range. But if you're range mage, you can use his body to alternate between attacks from left and right. He got really slow attack animation, and you can do something like this to attack him every now and then. In the last stage, he also can make a slam in the melee range. You need to stay away from it, and also slam will create a little bit of poison ground that will damage you, so definitely don't stay on the poisoned ground. You may run to the next boss by complete accident by just exploring the map, and you always will encounter him in the maps later in the endgame. Brambleghast. So how we fight against him? He is actually pretty slow. He will try to follow you and hit you with his melee attack, and it's basically double attack. You need to keep this in mind, but it's really slow attack. You can just move around and you don't even need to roll against these attacks, and you will have large window of opportunity to make hits just by going left and right, or even rolling behind his back. That's also an option. The biggest window of opportunity when he doing his skills like this. He takes a lot of time to throw this projectile ball at you that you can avoid just by moving away from it, to make distance between projectiles larger and easier to avoid. Another attack that he can do is summon vines. These vines can be attacked by you, so you can avoid them by rolling around or staying away, and you can hit them to completely remove them from the battleground. Sometimes these vines will shoot purple balls at you. To avoid these purple balls, you actually want to move towards them, because they won't stop until they will touch you, and then they will hit you in few seconds. So they are not dangerous at all, just touch them and move away. And this means to deal with this big fella, the best way is to wait until he make animation of his big attacks, and only then just go and attack him. The window of opportunity for attacks is really large. Next boss will be in the Red Veil. You will complete obelisk quests, and last obelisk will be the boss. I haven't encountered this boss on the maps, and he is actually pretty easy. The Rust King. He is big, but running pretty fast. It will be hard to run away from him. Still, his attacks is very slow and looks almost like a zombie in the beginning of the game. So again, just by using basic techniques you can easily destroy this bro. But he not always attacks you and gives you a nice opportunity for destroying him. Sometimes he's doing some magic. This magic is another window of opportunity for attacks. Look at how slow the spell is. He is just standing still while putting one of his hands up. There will be 6 swords shooting in different directions, and that's the best time where you can defeat this boss. Other attacks is just area strikes, so move left and right, circle around him, and he will be fine in evading these attacks. And because there's a big gap between the swords, the best place to be in is in melee range actually, and shoot him from this side. After losing about half of HP, he will start his second phase and summon bunch of zombies. Again, nothing hard, zombies are slow, he is fast. Just run away, lure him out of this zombie gang or destroy zombies pretty fast, and then finish this boss. After finishing this quest, you will get back to Clearfell, talk to Renly, get some tools, and get back to Grellwood, slam some runes, and then you will need to go back to the town, talk to Yuna, and summon her in the Grim Tangle teleport location. She will open the pass and you can continue forward. This area will meet you with enemies and mushrooms who leave this acid on the ground that takes your life. And you can even go past this area to the next location, but in this area there's actually a boss, the Rotten Druid, and he is one of the most common bosses I meet in the maps. And he can be pretty hard if you don't understand mechanics. So he's shooting some missiles that shooting at you, but it takes some time until they land. Also, he can shoot into these mushrooms, they will explode and make this area of facet on the ground that will hurt you. It's hard to find a timing to shoot him while he's shooting the missiles, so what I advise you to do is to actually come close and provoke these melee attacks. They are pretty slow and you can easily destroy him in the process while he's standing still without attacking you. If you don't want to close the distance, then make sure to roll between strikes. That's the best way I found to get at least opportunity to attack one time or like 2 times between the missiles. Sometime he will teleport to another location, so make sure to keep an eye on him because he got different abilities too. He can make like this million missiles in a second, and the best way to avoid them is to actually run. Never ever roll. The best timing to attack is actually the most scary timing. He's starting to charge this crazy circle around him. And while it's scary, it's actually best time to attack, because it will only teleport you to the middle of the screen and mushrooms will explode. Just make sure you continue moving after teleporting and you will be fine. So just move and wait until he makes this charged attack and then attack him with your combination. This way you will definitely easily destroy him. Another great timing when you drop him to the second stage, he will attack with the boulder and it's insanely easy to avoid and also insane timing to destroy him. In the second stage he will summon these vines that will attack you, and the best way is to just ignore them since they attack in one time, leaving some mushrooms behind, but technically they doing no damage if you just run away. So at the second stage just wait until he started to cast the boulder and finish him. And then we will get to Cemetery. Here you will find 2 tombs with 2 different bosses that will give you keys to fight the third boss. In tombs there will be a bunch of annoying enemies with the shields that will shoot projectiles back at you. You need to not use projectiles, or if you're using only projectiles you can use again our basic tactics by going around him while you get a window of opportunity and shooting him in the back. In tombs you will find a couple, a wife and a husband. Wife will be a mage, that's what you see on the screen right now. Consort is a mage and she got this AoE attack and bunch of different AoE attacks actually, circles and also this triangle shot. Best time to attack is between each of these attacks, and again stay closer, move in the circles and you will find yourself in a lot better place. Sometimes she's doing this combo attack, that's why going into like melee range and then going into the medium range is the best strategy. You can also provoke these melee attacks from time to time, but it's not very useful strategy since she got really nasty combination of multiple attacks. Again, it's another boss where the rolling is not advisable, and best way to avoid this circle AoE attacks is to just run away. One of your skills will cage you, and it's actually easy to avoid, you can roll away. Also you saw some projectiles, and it's projectiles from your husband, they can summon each other in the fights. Another way to escape from the cage is to just attack one of the sides and you will easily destroy this barrier. In the middle of the fight, these bosses will start to gather some souls and you need to touch them to destroy. Just like that. But if you won't touch them, they will gather some power and start to make really devastating and powerful attacks and summoning these annoying shield guys. So best way to safely finish off this boss is to wait until she will try to cage you while you're just running, and then go out of the cage and finish her in quick and powerful combination. The second boss is a lot easier. This is her husband and he will have basic attacks, basic combinations, so make sure to keep a little bit of distance and attack in between his combinations. He's shooting projectiles in a circle, this means you want to stay at medium or like far range from him. Combinations most of the time consist of 3 or 4 attacks, and you can squeeze bunch of attacks in between of his combinations or skills. I can't recommend standing close to him a lot since he can launch really powerful charge attacks, so better just make few attacks and then get away for a little bit. It will give you ability to evade a lot more easy other skills. Definitely make sure to destroy the spirits as well, since after gathering all spirits he will become enraged with bunch of really hard combinations and insanely hard to evade projectile attacks. While all skills require you to stay at the medium or long range, one of it actually requires you to stay close to him, and you just saw it. He will charge a fissure that will launch attacks to the left and right sides, so at this time you want to stay close or behind his back and attack. That will be the best timing to finish him off. You just need to be careful not to get caught by these AoE circles summoned by his wife. And this will give us access to the next boss. He will most likely meet you with double slam attack. Yeah, this means you want to stay at his side all the time. He basically shows you, dude, don't stay in the front or back of me, just stay from the side and attack me. And that's what you want to do. Provoking melee attacks is the way how to deal more damage to him, since you don't want to wait until he will start to using his skills. If you see big green circle nearby of him, this means he will launch a projectile at you. This projectile will leave a path of cursed ground, and it not only will slow you, but also will eat portion of your HP, and it's doing damage really fast. If he will stop and launch this big green circle on you, this means it will be double attack of spirits from the bottom and then from the top. And if he slams his foot on the ground, the spirit will follow until it meets you, and then it will start circling, making this area of cursed ground again. To avoid first attack, you want to move left or right, so it's pretty easy. But the little tip for you is to make him launch this attack in area where you won't ever need to be in. To avoid double spirit attack, you need to make 2 perfect rolls. If you mess up timing a little bit, you will be hit by 2 attacks. So again, best way to fight versus him is to stay in melee range, provoke these big attacks or double slams, staying from the side and finish him off. And winning against this boss will give you access to hunting grounds. Little tip if you're just playing the campaign, if you're feeling that you're having hard times against bosses, just don't follow the build completely you're following right now, because if you're leveling any attributes while you're going to next attack damage part, you're actually gaining almost nothing. The best way is to actually get some points in early parts of the tree, so get better bonuses in the beginning of the tree instead of going further. Crowbell, yeah, this boss is pretty common in the maps, you will meet him a lot, and map is pretty nice. So problem for this fight is actually a little area we can work in. He got insanely slow attacks, so you can use all basic tactics, just make sure you're running away after the first one, since he is always doing 2 attacks. If you're staying close while he's launching this slam attack, make sure to instantly roll. And there's actually 2 slam attacks. There's long range slam, and to avoid it you want to go forward. Yeah, you want to roll right below this dude. Easiest and best tactic against this boss is to always roll towards him or below him. This will evade all attacks he can make and give you opportunity to make 1 or 2 hits in between. After dropping his health up to like 25%, he will try to run away from you with a really nice and big defense, so you can't kill him in this area with most builds, and he will always run to this place starting to cry, and this area is a lot smaller than previous one. Still, strategy is the same, just roll towards him and you will be fine, you will evade all attacks and finish him off with the next step. Yeah, next step is around 50% of the health, he will get the bell from this place and destroy the wall and then run to another area. Here is a little trick if you're having troubles with this boss. Actually, you don't need to go into arena first, you can make a teleport, heal yourself, replenish your flasks and then get back to arena. But at arena you need to change your strategy a little bit. You want to go to the sides from time to time and not always forward. Still, going forward will work, but sometimes he shoots with his bell really fast. So best way to fight him at this arena is to go left or right and then shooting. He will do a charged loud noise attack and it's really easy to avoid, you just need to roll away because he will make 2 swings with his bell. There's always a 2 swings, so make sure you avoid 2 of them and then attack. Also, there's a book of specialization dropped from this boss in the campaign, you will get 2 skill points and can get to the Free Turn, a place where you will be met by a ritual activity. You just need to press on this ritual status and it will summon a lot of enemies, you defeat enemies, you completed the ritual. But there will be a big main ritual place that will also summon some enemies, but at the same time summon a big boss, king of the ritual basically. key to success with this boss is the same as with all previous main mechanics I explained in the beginning of the video. You need to make sure you're not using a lot of flasks in his first stage and even before the first stage when you're fighting basic monsters. There's red areas in this place, they will migrate and they will eat your health, of course, so make sure you're not stepping in them. And if you're trying to fight him in a range, there's not a lot of windows where you can actually attack him. Still, for this boss I recommend to have some range attacks, because sometimes he will just stand in this red pool and you just can't go and fight him in melee range. Also in melee range or in medium range he will launch the spikes that will damage you. Most of the time they shoot in pretty fast, and only way to avoid is to roll at the perfect time to the side. So best way to finish the first stage of this fight is to actually move a lot and fight him in between of his attacks. The problem that he always launching this some ritual stuff, and when you're moving you will be stuck. If you're stuck when he's launching big attacks at you or summoning this red pool just below you, you will definitely be destroyed in no time. So to avoid this skill you just want to not move a lot. Look at his face, move a little bit to the left and right, and you will be fine, you won't be stuck and stunned. Also he summons these dark effigies that will blast and damage you if you're not destroying them. After you drop him down to the 20% of his health, he will transform into big King of the Mists, basically the big Druid. He will replenish all his health and get new moveset. He will still try to stop you and stun you with these rituals, you just stay still and nothing will happen to you. And he will launch the big purple piles that will create purple piles on the ground. It will basically make a lot of areas on the field where you can't go, because when you touch this purple stuff it will always eat your health. If you touch these purple mushrooms they will blow you up, but attacks will become slower, and also his big charged attacks takes loads of time. That's where you can find windows of opportunity to destroy him. And we're going for the last 3 bosses of the first act. So first one will be Executioneer. We're getting back to the beginning where we started when we created the character. If you're trying to break distance he will try to jump on you, and again you don't want to evade backwards, you always want to evade forward. You want to go towards him. In melee range he will launch combination of 2 swings. Swings are pretty slow, and best way to avoid them is to actually make 2 rolls. It's easiest and most fail-proof. A little tip is to make fight going in the bottom right of the area, basically near the checkpoint, since he can summon a lot of friends that will help him in a fight. Also, even if you're avoiding this jump attack by rolling towards him, be sure you're avoiding a second attack that he will launch at his back. There's also a charged Fisher attack. Avoid this as always to the left or right side, same as the first boss. And when he launching this slow charged attack, it's always a circle in the front of him. Easy to avoid, just like break the distance a little bit and you won't be hit. A radius is just not that big. And technically you don't even need to move against this boss. Stay at the bottom of the screen near the checkpoint and only roll when he jumps at you and avoid his attacks. This way you will definitely beat him very easy and fast. When he stands still and calls faculty drops, this means something will drop on top of you, and all you want to do is to just move. Don't roll, just move and you will avoid this attack. After learning the simple ways to avoid his attacks, you can no-hit this boss in no time, like insanely easy, and all you need to do is to just move for a small distances to avoid all his attacks. When you advance through the game a little bit, you will find yourself in the first floor of Ogre Manor. That's where one of the last bosses of this act. Touch Psalm of Madness and you will summon this Candlemass beast. He can charge jump at you, best way to avoid it to go left or right. Also, when he charging his sword above his head, he will launch his swing, and best way to avoid it is to run towards him. Sometimes he's just making a little swings in melee range. And that's basically how you advance through the first stage. Left or right against charge attack, avoid his melee attacks, and when he's doing this big charge, run towards him, and then you will have window of opportunity for few strikes. If he's trying to charge without the sword, he will try to fire breath at you with really fast aim, so make sure to just break the distance and run far away. So you can't avoid this charged sword by running away, most of the time it will hit you. And if you're not being able to run away from this fire breath, then instead go close to him. Again, another boss in melee range is more easier to fight versus him than in standing in the range. Just move and abuse his turn rate and you will have nice time against this boss. Again, it's pretty funny how you can use basic tactics to make this run pretty much like no hit and destroy him easily with any gear. But you need to keep an eye on one of the strongest attacks he can make. While it will look almost the same as his fire breath that is really easy to avoid, he will charge but step back. This means he will launch barrage of fire missiles. Best way is to hide behind these couches. You can try to run, but barrage is really high radius, so best way I found to avoid these strikes is to hide basically over here. And we come into the last boss of Act number 1. And also you will meet this boss in the end game in Citadels. So it's really important to understand how this boss works and how to not take a hit from him. He got bunch of combo attacks, so definitely don't stay in the close range for prolonged periods of time. He got bunch of charged skills, so first one will charge and he will shoot projectile at you. It's completely like irrelevant attack, really easy to avoid. But if you melee class and you're forced to stay in the melee range, he always attacks in basically same direction. You need to avoid only his first attack and then he will try to attack forward most of the time. So avoid towards him and then hit him in the back. Sometimes he will become a little bit mad and try to charge at you. That's the time where you want to run away from where he is going, because there's always a follow-up attack almost for half of the arena. When he's launching double ice fissure, it's really easy to avoid just by rolling outside of this ice fissure, and that's where you can easily launch few attacks at him. But he can put his sword on the ground and create ice circle around. That's where kinda second version of this boss begins. It's still a first stage, so first rule is to always avoid stepping on the big circle, because you will be frozen and you will be dead in no time. Best way to survive this stage is to actually survive, just move a lot, because eventually the stage will end, and if you will be frozen while he's launching himself at you, you're definitely done and one-shotted. Stage will end and you will find a lot more opportunities to finish him off, but again, it's only a first stage. After dropping below 50% of health, he will transform into Big Bad Wolf with a sword, with new moveset. Ice Breath is really easy to avoid, just move to the side and you will finish him off. Ice Rays from the sky is easy avoided by just moving and avoiding them, and there's always 4 rays, so you can count and attack after ray number 4. If he try to launch himself at you, just roll, it's really easy to do. And when he howls, it will summon a lot of wolves from the mist, so to survive this stage you need one of the two things. You need ability to destroy these little guys with one hit, or you need pretty high movement speed and just run in the circles. Yeah, that's it basically. If you got movement speed, you can just run the stage, because you don't need to destroy these wolves. When the stage will be finished, he will destroy wolves by himself. He will be back in the arena and you can continue fighting. Another skill he can do, you see right now, he basically charging for a prolonged period of time. Find big gaps and you will easily avoid this attack. So, full race, easily avoid it, then you can attack. If he jumps at you, just roll at the perfect moment, roll away from his launch of himself, and the best way to deal a lot of damage to try and find openings in this area charge attack. By following these patterns you will easily destroy him, and when he will be dropped below like 40% of health, he will start to launch this red rays at you. It's the same rays as basic ice rays, but they got a little bit larger radius and different damage type. So, if this video was helpful, drop a like and a comment and I will make the next part.